Hello and welcome to the Transaction Manager Advanced Ship Notice and Label Webinar training on the HTML5 user interface. All right, so let's get started. The first thing we're going to discuss is the purpose of an ASN. When you transmit an ASN, you're communicating shipment time, shipment quantity, tracking information, as well as GS1 barcode labels. We have three different types of ASN pack types. We have the standard pack, the pick and pack, and the no pack. The best way to describe the differences between these packs is to think about an analogy of apples and oranges. So let's say you pack apples in one box and oranges in another box. You keep your cartons pure. That would be a standard pack. A pick and pack is when you mix apples and oranges together in a box. Okay, so you have more than one item type per carton. And then a no-pack ASN is the kind of ship notice you would send if your trading partner has no need they don't need to know how you pack. They don't need to have any of that information transmitted on the ship notice. So really all you're sending is just item information and quantity. I have a few ship notices created here just to better illustrate the differences between them all. First, let's open up this Bed Bath & Beyond standard ASN, and what I want to show you really is the hierarchy of the levels within the shipment notice, or I'm sorry, the shipment tab. All right, so here's the shipment tab. It'll take a couple seconds to open up, but really what we're going to see is there is the overarching shipment level, the order level, the item, and then the pack. And to see each of the details here, you have to click on the tabs. So right now we're looking at the order level, then I clicked on the item where you can see the UPC and the vendor item number, the quantity, and then when I click on the container level, aka the pack level, we have our UCC 128 number here, which actually makes up the barcode when you print your labels. Okay, so that is the standard ASN. Next we're going to look at the pick and pack. It's very, very similar, but there's just a slight nuance in the hierarchy, and you'll probably catch it as soon as it opens up. All right, so we'll give this another couple seconds to think. And we'll open up the shipment tab again. And you'll see that, of course, the shipment level is still the highest level, then the order, then the pack, and the item. So, excuse me, so compared to a standard ship notice, this is a little bit different. The standard is SOIP, whereas in a pick and pack, it's SOPI. Okay, so lastly, we have our no pack. Let's open that up, and you'll notice a stark difference right from the get-go. There will be no pack information in this ASN. So when I open this up, we're only going to have the shipment level, the order level, and the item. SOI. As you can see, SOI. All right, so at some point or another you might come across the word tear. It's really just a fancy word for pallet. So when we're talking about tear versus pack, we're talking about pallet versus carton. Okay, and choosing the right ASN can be a little bit tricky when you're just starting out. There's quite a few to choose from, but just break it down on how you pack. Think about it. Do you keep your cartons pure or do you mix them together? Okay, that is always going to be your starting point whenever you choose your ship notice. Now, a lot of these trading partners offer more than one type of ship notice, and it can be a little bit confusing to figure out which one is right for you. So let's see. Let me show you an example of a trading partner that offers a lot of different ship notices. I'm going to head back to the inbox. And once that opens up, let's check out Do It Best. When I choose the turnaround option, I see that there's a lot of invoices here, but the same rules apply. You know, no matter what type of transaction that you're using, when you're just starting out, keep it simple. Like here, we only have a few ship notices, so this isn't really a great example, but if you look at the invoices, here we have just a normal run-of-the-mill invoice, and then we have the credit memo, drop ship integrated, custom. You know, you want to go for the basic one. So here we just have the invoice and the version. Down here, actually, there's a pretty basic palette, which is great. We have a pick and pack, no pack, which is pretty basic. And we also have a pick and pack labels, but that's an example of a custom ASN, okay? So just keep it as basic as you can, and then wait for your trading partner to get back to you. They're either going to say, hey, that's fine, you can go ahead and continue to use that, or they might give you some feedback saying, hey, you know, we received your transaction, but we need X, Y, and Z to be a little bit different. That's fine. We are here to help you with that. If you want to try and get those details in writing, you can reach out to our support team and we can assist you in trying to figure out which transaction is best for you based on the feedback that you received. So yeah, just keep that in the back of your mind. Keep it simple and think about how you pack and you should be good to go. Now we're going to talk about using a max number, okay? A max number actually is a feature that will help you to break down your carton quantities automatically. And so here's a scenario that might better help to explain how max number works. I'm a vendor and I just received a purchase order for 24 of my items, okay? When I send back my ASN, I need to break down that quantity by, let's say, 4, okay? I can only fit 4 per carton. So if I use my max number, if I use this tool, as soon as I turn around my order into an ASN, my carton quantities will be broken down for me, just 4 per carton, okay? Now this only works in a standard ASN, and I'll explain why. If you can remember, a standard ASN is the kind of ASN that you use when you pack pure cartons. There is no question as to how many of that item is in that carton. Now, if you use a pick and pack or a pallet, it can get tricky and it may be inaccurate to state that there's X amount of apples and there's X amount of oranges because it can change from time to time, okay? That isn't to say that you can't achieve the same outcome in a pick and pack. You just have to do a little bit more manual work, and it's really not too bad. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to demonstrate how to use your max number in a standard, and then I'll show you how you can manually change a pick and pack so that you can have the same result in a different ASN type. Okay, so let's head back to Transaction Manager, and we're going to take a look at that standard Bed Bath & Beyond ASN that we looked at at the very beginning of the webinar. So if my memory serves me, I believe there's 12 items here in this ASN. We'll open it up just to double check. Give it a second and we'll take a look. All right, let's give it another second to think. And yeah, okay, yeah, we have a quantity of 12. So yeah, let's go with the scenario that I described earlier. I can only fit 4 per carton. So really what I want to see, what I hope to see are 3 containers rather than 1 in this ship notice. So I'm going to use my max number. I'm going to go over to the menu on the side of the screen, go to my trading partners, and expand out Bed Bath & Beyond. Here, okay? So once we are in Bed Bath & Beyond, I want to take a look at my item catalog. Okay, so I'm going to go to Translations and then Item Catalog. So prior to this webinar, I went ahead and I prepared this for us. I put the number 4 next to each of my items. Okay, you see that there's a max number column here, and I have all the items that I trade with Bed Bath & Beyond. This is where you set the max number, okay? So all of them are filled in, and then I save the changes. Now, bear in mind, when you edit your max number, it's not going to take effect on any of the drafts that you already created in your outbox. It will only take effect on new ASNs that you create, okay? So what I did was I set my max number and then I created a new ship notice. And I put it in its own little folder here so that I could show you the difference between our first standard ASN and then the standard ASN with the max number. So let's look at how different it turned out. So again, I created this after setting the max number. I did a new turnaround from that same PO. And in the shipment tab, when I click on the container level, here, I have 3. 1, 2, 3, with 4 each. And that's it. That's how max number works. If you decide that you need to change your max number, that's totally fine. Just go back to your item catalog, make the change, save, and then create your ship notice after the fact. Or if you want to do away with it entirely, of course, just delete everything out, save, and then proceed as normal, creating your ship notices. Okay? But that's how it works in a standard ASN. Now, when it comes to a pick and pack, it's a little different, but again, it's not terrible. It's still very, very, very doable and manageable. So let's go back to the outbox. I have my pick and pack here. And to be honest, it might already be broken down from my last webinar, but that's okay. I'll explain to you how we got there. All right, so in the shipment tab, we're going to go into the container level. Yeah, it's already broken down, but that's okay. I'm going to show you how we got there. So I'm going to delete these levels here. It's actually not too bad. So I'm going to delete the selected container, and then we'll start from scratch. Because this one, the quantity isn't edited in that one anyway, so no big deal. So we'll delete the selected container. Okay, so this is how it looked when I first created this pick and pack. It's the same as the standard. There's 12 items here. And what I need is to create 3 cartons with 4 each. Okay, so here's what I do. I go to the container level. And what I like to do is I like to change the quantity first. Okay, so I'm going to change this to 4. And then what I'm going to do is highlight the container, click copy, selected container. Okay. Now that I've copied the container, I'm going to go to the order level, which is a level up. And then I'm going to go back to this copy drop-down and choose Paste Special. Okay, the nice thing about Paste Special is you can paste more than one. So in this case, I need 2 more cartons, so I'm going to bump this up to 2. And I'm going to check this box to generate UCC 128. If you're wondering what that means, generating a UCC 128 is, or when you check the Generate UCC 128 box, it's going to give you a unique UCC 128 number for each copy. Okay, so definitely check that box. Otherwise, you're going to have exact copies of that container with the same UCC 128 number, and it could lead to rejections. So just keep that in mind. I have my copies here. I have my box checked. I'm going to click OK. And now that that is done, here we go. I've got my 3 containers with 4 items each. I have the same outcome. It took a little bit more work, but it's really, again, manageable, just as long as you know what to do, okay? So that's it. That's how you break down your quantities in a pick and pack. When you're done, you save your changes, and when you're ready, you can send your ASN. Okay, moving on. Now we're going to talk about consolidating ASNs. Okay, this is a neat little tool that we have here as well. So consolidating ASNs, what does that mean? think about it this way. I have a number of orders. Okay, I have more than one, and I need to create one ship notice which will encompass all of them. Okay, so consolidating ASNs is actually really easy. You just have to know where to change the setting. Okay, so here I have a ton of Bed Bath & Beyond orders here. I don't even know how many, but I need to turn all of these around into one ship notice. The first thing I need to do is go to Bed Bath & Beyond under Trading Partners. And once I am back here under Bed Bath & Beyond in the settings area, I'm going to go to the labels drop down. Give it a second to wake up. Here you go, labels. Go to UCC 128. And I want to check this box, consolidate transactions. Okay, it wasn't checked previously. So when it's unchecked, it's going to give me a 1-to-1 ratio. I could highlight all of those Bed Bath & Beyond orders and then click turnaround, and what I would get is a bunch of ASNs in my outbox. Now in this case, I don't want that. I want all of them to be included in one ASN. So I'm going to check this box and then click Save. And the system knows now, whenever I select multiple orders and do a turnaround, it knows that I want them all included in my outbound transaction. So I'm going to go back to the transactions area. Now, prior to the webinar, I already created a consolidated transaction. So let's go into my little subfolder, and you'll see what it looks like when you have a consolidated ASN. Okay, so here I have my pick and pack that I created. And again, to create this, all I did was hold down the Shift key and select all of my orders, click turnaround like normal, choose the transaction I want to create, click OK, and here we are. Okay, so that's how I created this right here. And when I open up the Shipment Detail tab, what I expect to see is a list of all the POs that I highlighted. And all the details from those POs will also be included in this one consolidated ASN. Okay, so let's go into the Shipment tab. And it's a lot of information, so it's probably going to think a little longer than usual. Here we go. Here's all my POs, all listed here at the order level. Okay, so there you have it. That is a consolidated ASN. All right, so now we are going to move on to label printing. Okay, so I wish I could say it's as easy as just highlighting the ASN and hitting print label, but it's a little bit more complicated than that. And I'll do my best here to break it down as easily as possible. So let's head back to our folders, and I'm going to use my original Bed Bath & Beyond standard ASN here for this example. Okay, so this is the one that I didn't break out into 3 different packs. This is still just the 1 pack of 12. Okay, so I want to print a label for this Bed Bath & Beyond standard ASN. What is the first thing I need to do? Okay, step 1, make sure, of course, that your ship notice is filled in. Okay, populate all of the details, save your changes. Step 2, go to your ship to type on the main tab. Okay, now every ASN is going to be a little bit different according to trading partner. You might have an extra field that says, that's asking you if you want to use the labeling utility. Just make sure you choose yes for that. But really right now what we're focusing on is the ship to type dropdown. Okay, so in most cases you only have 2 options, store or distribution center. Okay, so in this case I know it's a store, so I'm going to choose store. As far as the label type goes, you can just choose, whatever label type matches the ASN that you've created. So right now I've chosen a standard. It's a standard ASN. It works out. So anyway, back to the ship to type. I've chosen store. Now I'm going to go to the addresses tab. I'm going to click on the Ship To tab here and grab my Ship To code number, okay, 0138. This is what I have to look up in my address table. Okay, so I know it's a store. I grabbed my Ship To code. Now I'm going to click Tools and then Address List. And this is pretty neat. This is one of the nicer features in the HTML5 user interface. You can just take a look at the address list for that trading partner without actually having to leave your ship notice. So I really like this. Anyway, so here's the EDI code that matches my ASN 0138. Prior to the webinar, I went ahead and I filled in my Ship To address that I want to print on my label. Okay, so it's Syracuse. But really, the whole point of coming here is to check out the type. Okay, so it's set to store by default, okay, and that's fine. But if I were to come in here and see that it's set to DC rather than store, that tells me that my Ship To address will not print on my label. Okay, so I'm going to repeat that one more time. The main tab of my ASN, I chose store as my Ship To type. I need to make sure in my address table for Bed Bath & Beyond that the EDI code in the Ship To of the ASN, this code right here, is tied to an address that is also a store. Okay, as long as they match up, then my Ship To will print on my label. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Make sure of that, and you should be good to go as far as the Ship To address is concerned. So now we're going to talk about your barcode or your UCC 128 number. Okay, so to set up your UCC 128 number, we need your company prefix number. And if you're scratching your head thinking, I don't know what that is, don't worry about it. I can help you to figure it out. Okay, so I need to generate my UCC 128 numbers for this ASN. I'm going to go down to Trading Partners. I'm going to expand Bed Bath & Beyond, where we have been before, and go back to Labels and click on UCC 128. Okay, we were here before when we checked the Consolidated Transactions box, if you can remember. But really, what we're going to be talking about are these fields up here. Okay, so prior to the webinar, I already filled this in, but when you're just starting out, this is what it's going to look like. You're going to have zeros in these fields, and this box is going to be unchecked. Okay, this is untouched here, basically. The extension field, you can just leave a 0. It's an indicator that you use cartons. I believe if you change it to 1, it's an indicator that you use pallets. Honestly, I don't touch it unless, you know, of course, the trading partner tells you you need to. So we'll just skip over that for now. Company number. This is where your company prefix number goes. Okay. If you're not sure what it is, here's what I suggest. Take a look at a list of your items. Each item has a UPC number, okay? All of them, if not most of them, should have a set of 6 recurring numbers at the start. That is going to be your company prefix number, okay? So in my case, my company prefix number is 856299. I saw that number at the start of almost all of my items. Okay, so I grabbed it and I plugged it in. Make sure when you plug in your company prefix number that you leave that leading 0. Okay, that's important. When you fill in this number, you'll notice here, it's a little bit faded, but you'll notice that the next UCC value here changes as you add information to this field. Okay, this is what it's going to look like in your barcode, in your ASNs. So I've completed my company prefix number. The next serial number, you can leave that alone. Now I'm going to check this box, the Use UCC 128 Auto Create. This is so helpful. Make sure you check this box after you fill in your company prefix number because it's going to save you some time. What it does is it ensures that whenever you create an ASN after saving these changes, all of your UCC 128 numbers will be populated automatically. And that's a good thing. It saves you time. It's a little bit more convenient. So definitely check that box. When you're done, click Save. And that's how you set up your UCC 128 number. Okay? So now we're going to talk about your ship from address. Okay, and a lot of times customers get confused because the ASN itself does have a ship from address under the addresses tab, but that's not where your ship from is going to be printing from on your label. Okay, what we have to do, and this is something you would need to do for every trading partner, we need to access the label area like we are right here, but this time we're going to choose ship from. Okay, just make sure that you have all of your ship from locations filled in for each trading partner so that whenever you go to print your labels, you will be able to see that appear on your label. Okay, so prior to the webinar, I filled this one in. All I did was click add, and it gave me a new text field to complete my address. You obviously can have more than one. You have the option to choose a default. I've chosen, obviously, the only address that I have is my default, and that's fine. But again, this is where your ship from is going to come from on your label, not your ASN, so don't get that confused. So now that that's done, you click Save, and at this point, you should be ready to go, okay? So the nice thing about the HTML5 user interface, as well as our previous user interface, TMO SAS, is it comes with a web-based labeling utility. You don't have to install it. You don't have to have labels deployed out to you. It's all just part and parcel with this web page, okay? So when I'm ready to print my label, all I have to do is go back to my ASN and highlight it, and then click Print Labels. And my web-based labeling utility will pop right up, as you can see here. And it's going to give me a list of the UCC 128 numbers from the ASN. So I mean, there's only one in this ASN that we're working with. So I see it's here, and the print label box is checked. Now I'm going to choose the ship from location that I created from this drop down here, and then when I'm ready, I can click the print button. And what's going to happen is I'm going to get a PDF of this label. If you are interested in having hard copies printed of these labels rather than PDFs, you can still do that. I'll show you as soon as it pops up where you can actually send it to a printer, and it's just one extra click, you know, so pretty convenient. And here you have it. Here's my ship from, there's my ship to, I have my barcode, my SCAC, all the information from the ASN is here. If I wanted to send it to a printer, I can click this little icon and send it over. If I wanted to save it, of course, here's the little floppy disk icon. I can save it, and that's it. Now, if there's ever a time when you're printing labels and you notice that there's details missing, okay, first thing to do in this situation like that is just go back to your ship notice. Go back to it, go through each tab. Even though all of the required fields might be populated, that doesn't always mean that all the details that you need are there, okay? Just give it a shot, fill in as much as you can, save, and then try to print again. If you can't resolve the problem, if you're expecting to see something on your label, but it's not appearing on your label and you've already filled everything in, don't panic, just reach out to us here at True Commerce. We're here to help you. We answer questions like that all the time. Okay, so please feel free to reach out to us. If your trading partner gives you feedback about your label saying that they need the specs, or I'm sorry, they need the mapping to change on the label, that's okay. That's something that we can help with as well. All we ask is that you get a copy of their specs and get a written approval from them to make the change. Honestly, an email with the request of what they need and the specs attached will totally suffice. You can send that over to us via email, and we can see to it that that gets done. But, you know, just keep in mind that, again, I can't stress it enough. We're here to help you. You know, so don't let this overwhelm you. If you need any help or if you're having any issues, you know, and you can't get around it, please just don't hesitate to reach out to us and we can help. Okay? But that pretty much covers it. I want to thank you very much for viewing this e-learning video, and I hope you have a great day.